Welcome everyone to episode 10 of the Bunker Talk. I'm so excited and thrilled to have Rahysa Vargas and Trish Widowfield with me. They are the founders of Ms.Esquire, and I'm so happy, plus much more, not just Ms.Esquire, but so happy to have you both with me here today for a little bit of a long morning, but I appreciate their patience with, technology and this, one woman production show. So thank you so much for being with us today. And thank you. I'm honored to have you both as my number 10. It's a milestone for me. I mean, I'm here. Sometimes I don't know how, but we're here. So thank you. Tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Thank you, Sierra, for having us. One day you're going to be at number 100. So I hope we're asked to be back at
be you guys,
episode
for
1000
sure.
or something. Anyways, my name is Rahysa Vargas. I am the founder of Ms.Esquire. I started Ms.Esquire in 2015. We're going to be talking a little bit about what Ms.Esquire is in a short, in a little bit. But I'm also an attorney. That is my full-time job. Like Trisha said, I stole that from her. But I'm an attorney, a real estate attorney. So basically what we do is anything from if you're refinancing or buying your first time home or an investor, we do from the offer to the closing table. We can do all of your needs and make sure that you're protected in that space.
Hi. I'm so glad to be here.
Yeah.
Again.
Guys, we had a snafu with the camera, all right? Well, let's just be honest. We're doing it again. But, it's just going to be better. We lost the blooper, though, that was in the middle of the last episode.
This is going to be better. And I love her applause.
You're the best. You're the best. Thank you.
So I'm Trish Widowfield. I'm the vice president of Ms.Esquire. And my profession, I'm a medical malpractice attorney. I represent patients and families who have been harmed or killed by doctors in hospitals across the state of Florida. We have offices in Fort Lauderdale and Orlando, and I'm with the firm of Halixer, Pettis, and Schwam.
Awesome. 2 full-time jobs.
2 full-time
you
jobs.
have like 4.
Yeah.
Rahysa is attorney, Ms.Esquire, a mom of 3, under 3, right? Yeah. You got your hands full.
Pray for me.
They're so cute though. So worth it, right?
3 boys.
3 boys too. Right,
yeah.
right. So give us a little bit of history on Ms.Esquire. How did it start? Why did it start? Give us all that stuff.
Yeah. So we started Ms.Esquire back in 2015. I was like a young attorney and I really felt like there was a need. There was no space for a community of women and mentorship. And so, no surprise, your industry, like my industry, it's very male dominated and our superiors were mainly men. And so sometimes I felt a little strange to go ask them what I thought was a dumb question. So I was like, wouldn't it be awesome to have like a space on Facebook or somewhere where you can ask any question you wanted and other attorneys that are seasoned and or maybe they know the answer can share it. And so that's where the idea came about. And so I created this private group only for attorneys on Facebook. And within a week, we had over 2,000 people that wanted to be a part of the group. So we had to vet every single person, make sure that they're attorneys. And it just started growing to where we are now. We have over 10,000 women attorneys with about 6,000 waiting to get in. I believe in quality over quantity. So that's the reason why. But it's been great. I mean, we've built a community of incredible women. And now we decided, or Trisha and I will speak about it in a little bit, but we really wanted to make sure that it expanded to more than just women attorneys, which is the reason why we created the Ms.Esquire Networking Group, which is what you're a part of. And it really just brings in other people in different business industries to be a part of the same community.
Right.
And just to be clear, I'm not the founder of Ms.Esquire. Rahysa is the founder of Ms.Esquire. She's the one who came up with this brilliance of having this Facebook page. And I was actually just a member right whenever it first started. I was on, and at that time I was a defense attorney. And so I would just, if I had a question about a judge or a motion, I'd post it or I'd read other people's comments. But in 2016, my firm completely rebranded. We were notoriously a defense firm. We defended doctors in hospitals, and that's what we were known for. That was the first 10 years of my career and the first 27 years of my firm. So I knew I needed to intentionally make people know that I'm no longer a defense attorney.
Right.
I represent patients and families now. So I really got involved around that time and was basically self-promoting of, having these activities and having events. And I was trying to do like some unique networking events. So, we did a Bright Line event. I've done a few Fountain Blue events. And so it was around that time that Rahysa and I started to partner up to see, how we could make this bigger.
And why'd you guys bring it in person? Like what was the thought process behind moving it from just strictly a Facebook group to in person?
Yeah, so I always thought, it's funny because in another previous episode, we mentioned a lot about networking. And I always thought like I disliked how people did networking. Like I hate these happy hour things. So we used to do in-person events. But all the in-person events that we would do were an activity. And why an activity? Because while you're doing an activity, let's say you and I are sitting together and we're painting something, we're going to get to know each other a lot better than, hey, what do you do? So that allowed for genuine conversations to be created. And I love those events. People left really happy, getting to know women really, really well. But I met Trisha. We met on the Facebook group, by the way. I swiped right. So we met on the
stranger.
We met on the Facebook group online, and she asked me to lunch. I said yes, which normally I do not date strangers, but here we are. And
this one worked.
Yeah. So we met in person, and I was like, wouldn't it be awesome if like it was the same group of women that saw each other, so they really got to know each other well. And we had a category exclusive idea. So in 2019, we would go to lunches all the time. And we started brainstorming what it would look like. And that included not just women attorneys. So we were like, wow, there's so many different women that can benefit from a community like this. Plus, they want to grow their business too. Right. And we need more than just attorneys in our business. Like entrepreneurs need all types of things, you know, insurance, bank accounts, all these things. So that's where it came about. And then we kind of started launching it. I mean, I guess you could talk about the events that, you know,
it didn't happen. Yeah. So we actually had this great speaker series set up, and it was the point of it was to kick off these live chapter groups to see like what the interest was and to get out, you know, the word. And so we had, I think, like 6 panels set up, panelists all set, venues set. It was a beautiful thing. And then COVID happened. And so we got shut down. And I mean, at that time, we just went back onto the Facebook platform. And then, so about, what is it, in September of 2020? No, 2021.
Yeah.
21.
Is when we actually finally launched a Miami group and a Fort Lauderdale group. But then like the need was just out there. The interest was out there. So we grew. And now we're about to open our 6th and 7th chapters.
That's amazing. Yeah. As a non-attorney member of the group, I love being a part of Ms.Esquire. And I think that not just to grow my personal business, but I love because now I have positioned myself to be a resource, right? Now I know so many attorneys that can help my clients with any of the issues that they're having or any legal, you know, questions, concerns, issues that they have. Now I have my resources of people that I like and trust and I network with regularly. And it's such a supportive group. You guys have done a wonderful job. Like you guys, every time you open a group, you have like over 100 applicants. Like it's a feeding frenzy almost.
No, it's been a lot of fun. I get to sit in 186 interviews, and then that's how many we had at the very first. I was like, wow, this many people want to join this in person.
Rahysa, we're taking that away from you. It's staying on the floor.
There you go. There's your blooper. You asked for one.
Yeah, there you go.
So no, when we started these groups, we got 186 applicants, and we could only pick 20 for Miami and 20 for Lauderdale. I picked 20 because I felt like, you know, when there's too many people in the room, you don't really get to know them that well. Right. So that's why we started with a magic number of 20 Miami, 20 for Lauderdale. And then it just grew from there. Like people didn't leave. So I was like, oh, okay. Like there's still people asking me about it. So let's do. So now we have 2 in Miami, 2 in Fort Lauderdale, 1 in West Palm. Boca's opening this month. And then West Broward's going to be opening. We're going to come to other cities. So that's
amazing.
To come.
That's amazing.
Trisha says we follow the bright line, so whatever. Yes. I agree with her. So we're going to be going to Orlando and Tampa. So we know there's a lot of need. I know there's people that have like left to different states that want us to open in other states. So our goal is to definitely be there. I think we just want to make sure it's good here before we take it to that level. Right,
before you scale it. You got it. Yeah, because it has to be, you have to duplicate it in places where you may not be physically there. So it's a little more challenging. Yeah. I agree with that. That's smart. So different groups in person versus, online, you're opening it up to industries adjacent to your attorneys to not only help them, but it works both ways, right? You guys are all resources for us, and now we could be, resources for their clients. The business attorneys in all the chapters I'm a member of support me, and it's a natural fit, right? Yeah. And vice versa. It works both ways. They're dealing with businesses that need help with their insurances. They're usually reviewing leases, things like that. I'm a natural fit. And I don't think that I think the environment that you guys have created is not like it's not like the I don't want to say the names, but the other networking groups where like you're required to bring referrals. We do, we want people to bring referrals because it is a business group, right? We are, everyone's there to grow their business, but it's not like, well, I have to turn in a referral today or else I'm going to get kicked out, right? They're not forced. And I think you guys have done a really good job of encouraging people to use the members in the room, but it's not like, you're not giving frivolous referrals because of that, right?
Yeah.
You know how some of those groups, they pressure you so much, but then there's also like, if there's no pressure to give business, sometimes there's like that low hanging fruit that is just there, but doesn't really give, it's a song and dance that you guys have to play.
100%.
And I think that you guys have done a good job of balancing that.
I appreciate that. I don't know that sometimes I feel like that, but
some people have other expectations of these groups, but I think that from someone on the outside, right? And that it's difficult to give to every attorney in the room because sometimes some of them are so complex and so specific that I don't even really understand what they do, or I'm just like, how would I ever refer them?
Yeah. I hope that you never, ever need me.
Right.
But if you do, you know what I do.
I have the best one. Even though I'm not in the Facebook group, I've heard. Trisha is the celebrity.
She is the celebrity. No, I think it's genuine. Like as you get to know people, the more you get, and I tell people all the time, like, what do you do to get business? I'm like, super simple. You need to get to know people well, not just what they do, like everything about them, like know about their dog, know about their rabbits' names, know about their bunnies, know about their car, know about their husband. Why? Because that's going to make you memorable and vice versa. Like people want to do business with people that they can relate to. And if they don't, like you're not Joe Schmo over there, you're probably not going to get as many referrals. But if people genuinely take the time to get to know you and vice versa, you're going to be able to have a connection. It's going to be easier for you to send something to them. So I think that's definitely the key about our groups. We really try to take the time to do even activities. I mean, obviously, activities to get to know each other, interview each other. But why? Because it's important for you to get to know what do they want? Where would they want to travel to? And then you're like, oh, I want to go to travel to Italy. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, I want to do an insurance policy with her. Those things are things that make you genuinely connect and become friends with people. And send more business, I think, in my opinion.
Trish, tell us about your networking. How did you start when you had to rebrand yourself? Tell us a little bit. And honestly, it's going to serve as, the purpose of this podcast is to be able to help new entrepreneurs, no matter the age, right? Just new in this path to grow their businesses and avoid other mistakes, right? So Rahysa touched on it a little bit of like the be everywhere networking, right? The shotgun networking. That's not, we've all done it. We all agree it's not good. So Trish she's got it down to a science.
I don't know about a science, but whenever we switch sides and I suddenly from day 1 to day 2 went from being a defense attorney to being a plaintiff attorney, I knew I needed to rebrand. So how do you do that? You just have to get your name out there. So I started doing what I called lunch with strangers. And it's exactly what it sounds like, lunch with strangers. So I would reach out, and a lot of the people would be people I saw on Facebook. So-and-so opened a new firm. Oh, congratulations. Let's have lunch.
Right.
And you would think that a lot of people would say no, but they need business, they need referrals, they need contacts. And so it was very intentional. If I was scrolling on Ms.Esquire of, okay, congratulations, let's get together. I'd like to hear about more what you do. And then I went to lunch with, I have to give him credit, Peter Layton is just a mental Rolodex, and he's amazing at connecting people. And so I went to lunch with him, and it was an odd lunch because he took a bunch of notes, and I've never had anyone take notes whenever I go to lunch. And I thought, that's odd. But at the end, he said, well, where are you getting your referrals, or where do you want to? And I said, primarily other female attorneys, because there's not very many females who do med-mal. And so I thought there'd be a connection there and some, identity. And so he ended the lunch by saying, do you know so-and-so? Do you know so-and-so? Do you know so-and-so? And I thought I knew a ton of people. And I was like, no. And so by the time I drove from lunch to my office, I had 40 emails with what he called strategic introductions of, okay, meet Trish. Trish does med-mal. Trish, meet this person. They do immigration. And I literally made it my second job to go to lunch. And I called it lunch with strangers. I thought maybe it would be weird, but so many of these people have ended up being not only referral sources, but really good friends. And it became such a thing where, like, my husband thought that lunch with strangers was like a real thing, like it's just lunch or whatever an app is. So I told Melissa I need to trademark it.
Yeah, that's great.
But you just have to be consistent. You have to be intentional. And then after those lunches, you can't just let those people linger on and
That's what happens.
and drift away.
Right.
It does happen. And so I use an app, and it's called Camcard. And basically it's free. There's a professional version, but what you do is you snap a picture of somebody's business card, and it's great. So you don't have all those cards laying around, but you can also make notes. You know, I can write that you have corgis, or,
Right.
you know, Rahysa has a birthday in September. But the brilliant thing about that is you can also set calendar reminders for something like a birthday. But what I would do with it is I would calendar, say, 2 months in advance, just a random Wednesday. And I'd reach out to that person because I get an alarm, reach out to that person. Hey, I just wanted to see how you were doing. I really enjoyed our lunch. You know, let me know if there's anyone I can introduce you to or how I can help your business.
That's great.
That's amazing. Honestly, how many books are written about networking? And there it is, right? There's people that like have made their whole careers on the strategies of networking. It's just be yourself and be consistent and follow up, right? Be intentional too. I agree that's part of, which I think is something you guys are creating as well. You guys in Ms.Esquire, the question is asked, like, who do you want to meet? Who helps you grow your business? Because also at some point, you know, I know that you guys want cases. Sure, I want to sell policies, but really a referral source is the best.
Yeah, it's
right?
better than one.
It's better than a one-off, right? Tell me about the Facebook group. How I know, but tell the audience about like how engaged. How do you keep your members engaged? How do you keep it alive for almost 10 years?
Yeah. So crazy to think that it's going to be 10 years in 2025. I mean, nuts. But the way that we really actually started the group, I mean, Trisha knows this. I know I've mentioned this to you. So many people would approach us seeing how fast it grew. They wanted to see if I wanted to monetize it. Like, do you want to sell something? Do you want to be sponsored? Do you want me to brand it? Do you want to? And I was like, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing ads. We're not doing memberships. We're not. And the reason why I didn't want to monetize it is because I felt like community should be free, right? Mm-hmm. Like it should be genuine, and it should be organically grew because people really wanted to support people. Like obviously all these women came into this room or this group because they all felt the need to do that, you know, the need to support one another. And, you know, we've had some bad apples and we've taken them out because we need to make sure the culture stays the same. But it's been amazing. We have about 2,500 engagements a day. It's the largest group of its kind on Facebook. I didn't know until Facebook called me and I was like, whoa, Facebook called.
Did you think it was a prank call?
At first I was like, I'm sorry. No, at first I really got excited about that. So Facebook called me and I was like, wait, what? And they're like, yeah, we wanted to see if you wanted to talk at the Facebook summit. I was like, there's a Facebook summit? So yeah, we spoke at the Facebook summit, but it was
not we, her.
Okay.
It was
it's
before
a
me.
collective group. Okay.
It was before me.
But anyway, so yeah, I think that's been a big part of it. I mean, people really want to support one another, and the fact that we've been able to organically grow it and it be genuine reason that people want to see other women succeed. I think that's the reason why there's been so much momentum behind it. And then when we launch these groups, I mean, a lot of people want to be a part of it because like, imagine we're taking this off of online to in person. And it's been 100 times even better to see people grow in the group. I mean, even be able to like speak out loud. People have been better at it.
Yeah.
Like I've seen people, you know, really grow in their careers in the group. So I think that's
I feel like maybe even people that have an idea of starting a Facebook group, they kind of don't want to do it, or they're just like, yeah, but who's going to come, or how it's a lot of pressure, right?
Yeah.
When you think of it, of how are we going to keep them active, or the thing of, oh, but there's already so many groups, right, that exist like that.
Yeah.
Right. But I think that it being a genuine place of resources, support, and help matters. And that's, I mean, 2,000 of them are tagging Trish, right? Like she's the Ms.Esquire celebrity.
She's the reason why they're active. No, but you know what? In our prior episode that will not be released.
Right.
But
We have the audio.
no, and we mentioned something that I thought was, you know, important, that while there's this obviously this space that we're creating for women to really help one another, I think that we're also creating, you know, like people are asking any type of question. It's
Right.
not just about, people can ask questions. It's a resource for everybody, right? And so people now, like Trisha had mentioned, people wake up in the morning and they'll just want to actively engage in the group. They'll say like, hey, I have a hearing. What's going on with this judge? Can you help me out? People will write on it. And so the fact that we've created this community where people are like, hey, I don't have to do anything. I love at the Daily Drip event how you mentioned like, oh, you don't want to be this Joe the plumber. I don't remember his name. But anyways, Joe the plumber, right? Like, how do you create all this active engagement? And the reality is, have your audience create it, not be you. Actually, I'm the person who posts and nobody engages with. So I guess, there's that.
Nobody likes your content.
Yeah,
Right?
no, they're like, but now we created a space where everybody is the engager, right? Like I don't post things like, hey, let's talk about this today. None of that. Like, so, cause often people are like, hey, what do you do so that you keep up? No, I don't do any of it. Like, it's created such a space and now people wake up and it's part of their day to be like, hey, let me look at the questions or let me learn something from it. Or like, what do you think I should wear to my first, trial back? And people are like, this is what you should wear. Let me link you to what I bought. Any kind of advice is part of it. And that's the reason I think that it's so active, but it has nothing to do with me. Now it's really about the community.
Well, that's probably all
built.
right. Exactly what you just said too. It's not the Rahysa show.
No.
You have actually almost removed yourself and you just moderate, right? Or
I literally
you do the
barely post.
right.
Yeah.
That's powerful. That's really nice. And if you think about it, like the community that you've built, tell us the impact it's had on your life though.
Yeah, so I know, like for me personally, wow, I feel so honored to be a part of it. Like a lot of times I had to pinch myself and I'm like, I'm part of this group? Like, how did this happen?
I love that too, that you say I'm part of it, right? I made this group, right?
Yeah,
I'm part of it.
So, because often Trisha's correcting me. She's like, no, you. And I'm like, no, I forget because I feel like it's not me. You know what I mean? Right. Even though it was like a desire in my heart, but obviously it came from above and like I think there was a need for it. And I just happened to be the person that sent it in. Right. But I don't think I'm the reason for its success. I really think it's all the women that are part of it. So I thank God every day that I get to be a part of all these women who have taught me a lot. And more importantly, like when I see people in the courthouse, so it became a brand. People don't know how to say my name. It's pronounced Rahysa. But the way you spell it looks like Rahysa, like, so no one ever wants to say my name. So people would come up to me like, are you Ms.Esquire? And I'm like, oh, I guess I am. But from that, people would come up to me all the time and tell me, hey, because of your group, I started my own law firm. I'm like, what? That's amazing. You started your own law firm? And just so many people would come up to me like, hey, because of the group, people started, supporting my business. And, Michelle Suarez, I talk about all the time, she started her own law firm. I remember when she started it and she was like, hey, if anybody has any coverage work, like hearings that you can't go to, I charge this amount. Can you? And women really started supporting that. And now she doesn't need to do that. She has her own book of business. She has a successful law firm, but it's incredible what you can do when women get around other women. And because of this group, I started my own law firm. So ironically enough, all those people that came up to me and told me that, that was part of their motivation became my own motivation to be like, why have I not used a group to start my own law firm? It's always been a desire in my own heart, but maybe something I didn't think I was capable of doing. And all these women really have accelerated my vision because they have supported one another. And I'm like, hey, I can do this too. I can be a part of that too. And I've always wanted to go on my own. So because of this group, I've been able to do it. So
I think that's so cool.
And I think the content, the Facebook group isn't just about referring business or asking questions about motions, but oh my gosh, I decided to go out on my own. How do I do payroll? Yeah. Where do I find insurance? Like, how do I keep the lights on? What system do I use? And so, I mean, there's so many things like you don't know what you don't know. Mm-hmm. So, like trademarking, right. I mean, you don't know that you need to do that or how to set up a website. So, I think it encourages women who've already done it to not keep it as a secret and hold it onto information. They just want to share it. Let's help everyone succeed.
I love that. And I love that you said that because we go through that in our space too, where it's like, well, my family came into insurance. I never thought I was going to be a business owner. And then it's like my turn. And so I did it because I know how to do insurance, not because I know how to run a business. And Vanessa talked about that at the event. Ms.Esquire did an amazing event with the Daily Drip, an organization dedicated to supporting women. Obviously, so is Ms.Esquire. It was an amazing event. And she touched on that. She wanted to be known as a businesswoman that happened to practice law.
Right.
That's amazing.
Right. I love that.
And I think that sometimes I find myself being like, wait, if I'm looking at something, I'm like, wait, am I thinking about this as an insurance agent or a business person? But nobody teaches you that. Yeah, and to exactly what Trish just said, to have a place where you can ask those business questions that maybe other Facebook groups are not the safe place, or they would get mocked
Right.
for asking elementary questions, is amazing, because I have those, and I have a women insurance group that treats me the same. I might just be an attorney to be allowed in the group, in the Ms.Esquire group. But no, I think that's amazing too, because they might go off on their own because they love law, not because they know how to run a business.
Right. And there's a lot of transparency of, okay, I'm hiring somebody. Should I pay them this? Oh my God, that's way too low, or that's way too high, or, you know, what should I be looking to profit? You know?
Right.
Yeah. And I think there's, you know, what's a misconception is like, there's not enough business. There's enough business, you know,
More than enough.
and I also think, like, I think every day, like Natalie Zaguri, who I met through Ms.Esquire, she actually, when I first went on my own, I called her and I was like, hey friend, I don't really know like what I'm doing. And she's like, no problem. Come to my office. Like, I had met her through Ms.Esquire, and she's like, come to my office. I'll teach you everything. I'm like, well, awesome. So I did that. And I'm so thankful for people like that. Like anybody,
She's amazing,
you know, that wants to learn from me. I'm happy to share the wealth. The knowledge, you know, there's enough to go around for sure. And taking that time to be able to pour into the next generation, I mean, it's incredible. Like, I will forever be indebted to her and thankful for her. I mean, my kids, you know, I have 3 kids that, like, I want them to see me thrive and succeed in business so that they know they're capable too. But if there wasn't people out there like Natalie or like this group that want to help other people succeed, we can't get there, you know?
And that's going to make you more likely to do the same for someone else who's coming.
100%.
Right. That's why it's when you think about it, the space that you guys have created, it's super powerful because of that. Because you guys are, I mean, if people run up to you saying it's because of you, I went on my own. I mean, that means that the space you guys have created is allowing people to literally chase their dreams because of the support that's in that group, which is impacting their families and like changing generations. Like, that's powerful.
Right.
So congratulations. That's amazing. I mean, I'm just going to take the bar. I'm just going to do it.
You
What, the
should.
baby bar? Is that what it's called?
I
don't know.
Kardashian
I saw that. I don't watch it often, but I had the vid and I was really bored. So, you know, I had to watch it. Let's touch briefly on something that we all suffer. Well, deal with, not suffer. But that we talked about it at the Daily Drip, which I know a lot of specifically men go through it, but mostly women, right? Imposter syndrome.
No, we think that. Men go through it. They ain't talking about it. but
Right.
we
They don't
think
talk
that.
about it. I agree. How do you guys deal with it? Do you have it? Do you deal with it?
Yes and yes. I think that the biggest way to deal with it is to identify it. Why am I feeling like this?
Right.
And how do I overcome it? And so for me, it's be prepared. You're never going to outwork me. So I'm never going to fail because I don't know something or I haven't read something or I'm not prepared or organized. Yeah. So that's how I deal with it. Is I think that you just have to know it's there and identify it and then just work through it and know you're worthwhile. I mean, you know, you got this far somehow, and you can only continue to grow. And sometimes whenever you grow, you feel uncomfortable, and that's probably a good thing.
Right.
Yeah, I love that. So for me, I think, you know, I had mentioned this to you. I wasn't the best student. I wasn't like, you know, part of the reason why I went to law school is my dad had he was an immigrant. He came to this country with just dreams. He brought me to this country and he never got an opportunity to go to school. So for me, it was so important to like show that his like sacrifice was not in vain, which is the reason why I was like, oh my gosh, when I graduated high school, I was the first one to graduate high school, then first one to graduate college, then first one to graduate law school. So I really did it for my love for my family, really. But for me, it was very hard. I was not as smart as everybody else in the room. And I had to constantly think and motivate. Maybe I've had imposter syndrome this whole time during law school too. And I was like, man, am I going to make it? Like, I don't think I'm as smarter. Like, am I going to get a job? So I really had to remind myself, like, what separates you from everybody else? You're not going to be the smartest in the room, and that's okay. But there's something else that makes you different and special, you know? And so it was me like getting involved and doing different things. But I think over the years, I've also realized, you know, it's important to have people that you look up to remind you that it's possible, that you keep going, that, you know, God created you for a reason and for a purpose, and that you're supposed to live that purpose out. And so every day I even look at, like, you know, yesterday I went to lunch with my dad, not because I was like hungry or had the time or anything. I was unmotivated completely. So that's when I go to lunch with my dad. And I'm reminded so often, like, he came here, didn't have an education, didn't go to school, you know, didn't know the language, didn't have opportunities, had to work from the bottom, less than minimum wage, you know, because he was an immigrant, to get to where he is today, to have a huge successful business. And it was no easy task. And so any day I want to doubt myself, I'm like, girl, you know English, you went to school, you came to this country, you don't live in you have the opportunity that somebody else gave you and sacrificed for where you are today. The least you can do is make it. You're more than capable and more than worthy. So I think I have to constantly remind myself, surround yourself around people like that, because you are your worst enemy. You know, like you are the person that's going to put all these hurdles in front of yourself and say like, I can't do it. Because imposter syndrome is within. Nobody's like 90% of the time we're saying the things that are not true about ourselves, right? Or doubting ourselves. And so I think that's really, really key and fundamental, is like believing that you're able to do, and reminding yourself, and being you have to remind yourself you are your own cheerleader. If you're not going to be your cheerleader, then you're not going to be able to get through it.
Yeah, the other thing about social media is you only see the best of the best of the best of the best of everyone's day. You know, there's successes, and I won this trial, and I'm out here and I'm getting this award. And so one of the nice things about the Facebook Ms.Esquire group is when people feel down or when they're doubting themselves, it's a safe place where they're actually saying, oh my God, like I have trial tomorrow and I don't know what I'm doing. Right. So it's nice to see people be vulnerable.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Or say they had the worst day, or hard clients. And
because when people only show the good, it gives a false sense of failure to the people that are just starting, or that don't look that way or anything. There's so many things. And I agree. And I think that's one of the reasons why, like, I deal with the social media stuff, but at the Daily Drip event, somebody there was telling me I had to get off social media. I just couldn't take it anymore. Right. It was doing so much harm to me and what I thought of myself.
Yeah.
And I said to her, wow, like, thank you for telling me that. And honestly, I said, you need to just remove those people that make you feel that way.
Yeah. Don't
follow them anymore.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Find other creators, content. There's people that do show the good and the bad. Right. But that is one of the powers in a negative way, right, of the social media, where everyone just looks like they have it together and they're not struggling. And that's one of the nice things of that event, because that question was asked about imposter syndrome, and it went down the line of 6 women. Bam, bam, bam. Yeah. All of us gave our version of what we have, what we do, why do we feel it, and how do we overcome it. I think for me, one of the things to realize too is that everyone feels that, no matter the level of success that you have, right? If you're at the top, you think that about someone else.
Yeah.
Right. I want to be where they are. Why is it taking me so long to get there? Or why don't I speak as good? Or, I think everyone goes through it, no matter the level, which is Trish. It doesn't go away. Right. You just work harder.
Yeah.
It's funny, and this is kind of off topic, but whenever I first moved to Florida, I moved to Tampa. My parents came down, and I showed them, I drove along Bayshore and showed them all the mansions. And my dad said, okay, now show me the bad neighborhood. And, just to show, you aspire to the good neighborhood, but realize what you already have.
Right. No, that's great.
Oof. That's deep right there.
Let's have him on the. You could have brought your mom.
I know. My mom's fantastic.
Oh my God, your mom and your dad. Oh my God, would your dad be on the show?
My dad will definitely. You might need an interpreter, but this is gonna be a worthwhile show.
It'll be you. Oh my God, that would be emotional.
He's hysterical, so you really can't get emotional in that moment, but he's come a long, long way. I don't think anybody's ever worked harder, and that's awesome to be able to be behind his footsteps and be like, man, there's nothing he can't do. So
yeah, I love that. My dad at 49 took money out of their 401k and started a business. He had never owned a business, didn't go to college, never sold insurance. Just a risk taker. Yeah. Did it.
That's my dad.
With 2 kids in college.
Let's have our dads on the show.
Oh my God. Can you imagine? That would be amazing. Ladies, thank you so much for coming the first time, staying for the second one. It's episode 10.5.
That's right. You're a gracious host, and you made this so easy.
You guys
thank you so much for having us.
I just hired a production manager. His name is Chris Cheng. So let him know. I appreciate him so much on a FaceTime call with helping me fix these things. But I appreciate you guys so much. I appreciate your friendship, your mentorship. I love being surrounded by such strong women. It makes me better. It has made me better in a year of knowing you. I love you guys so much, and I really appreciate you guys being here with me today. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for having us. You're incredible.
Twice.
And we're excited. Yes, twice. That's how good
twice
it
on
was.
the same day.
We decided to do it twice. No, but we're excited for you, and the fact that you've taken this on, and we're so proud of you. And this is your moment, girl, your
Thank
year.
you.
So
I
we're
appreciate
excited for
that.
you.
Well, it's also with the support that I've gotten at Ms.Esquire. So, quickly, sorry, I know I just did the exit, but I think that one of the things that kind of helped me realize it too, because I'm kind of like on an island alone here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't have, my insurance space for women is online, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where I have that online, but I don't have it in person.
Right.
And I remember one of the first meetings that we did. You remember the really emotional one?
Yes.
That everyone cried?
Yeah,
It was
we
Fort
had
Lauderdale
that.
too.
Yeah,
That one. And
yeah.
and I feel like, man, when I realized that everyone, all these powerful women, they all have a fear of speaking publicly, I was like, oh, okay. Well, I'm not the only one. And all of them kind of feel like a fraud sometimes. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It really made me feel so much better about myself because I don't have that in my space. And obviously to non-attorneys, and you guys are, but like, attorneys are powerful women just by nature, by your industry. You guys are strong women. So for me to realize, and as we did it in every chapter, I was like, man, all the women feel the same.
Yeah, I mean, so many cancer survivors, people going through some real stuff.
Oh my God.
It was beautiful.
It
That's
was
one
beautiful.
of our favorite meetings because it's like everybody, I feel like it's not like fake it till you make it.
No.
It's like you get there and
No.
you're like, oh
You
my
stripped
gosh.
everyone down.
Yes,
Immediately.
it was good.
Like, second meeting
And
in.
that makes it like part of networking and like being able to do business. A part of it is like really genuinely getting to know people. And I love the heart of like people being so vulnerable to talk about there was some tough things that were said in that room. And I was like, wow. Like,
Yeah.
I think everybody was even crying about other people's
Yes.
situation, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And that's what made it so beautiful. I was
Yeah.
like, man, these people feel like this is such an organic, close-knit group that they were willing to share some of their hardest times in their life. So,
And I think it's also helped me just be like, oh, okay, so then it's not only me that feels this.
Yeah.
Everyone does. So still just go out there and do your best.
For the record, I just wanted to say we also accept men into the group. I realized I didn't say that.
Yes. And the men shared that day too.
Yeah,
They
cried.
shared. Yeah. They shared and they were vulnerable with the things. And so it really, I really do believe that because even one of you, I think even both of you might have told me that they're like, oh, you've grown so much. And I really do.
Yeah.
I think that that meeting was, and I did it a couple times.
Yeah.
And all of the chapters had their own level of emotion and rawness. But I think that maybe even doing it a couple times for myself, it really helped me see, okay, well, it's okay. Everyone goes through this and they're still you just got to get up every day and try your hardest.
100%.
So I feel like that's part of the reason why I'm also doing all these crazy things that I don't know what I'm doing.
I was just going to, do you remember when Sierra would be like, oh, about the speaking thing and the stage? I remember that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
girl, doing a podcast? Like, you know what I mean?
There you go.
You've come a
Well,
long way.
I
100%.
would not, when I'm looking back at the history of this career that I'm doing and this business, trust me, Ms.Esquire is going to have a piece of building me because I found a place where women were actually honest to say all those things that I was feeling that I didn't know I could say.
Right.
I'm so glad you came into our
I
lives.
know.
Likewise. Now I got to buy you guys lunch.
No lunch is
Thank you
needed.
so much. I love you guys. And episode 100, you guys will be back.
Absolutely.